Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Bamboo Stealing Podcast. This week's episode, we figured, our audience doesn't really know who we are. And so we wanted to just kind of let them into our world, get to know us a little bit, right? So today we're gonna start off by just playing this game where we pick a card, and on that card there's a question. And then we're just going to see where that takes us. All right?
Cool.
So let's do it.
I'm game.
Duck, you're up.
All right, let's go. Oh, cool. Okay. First question is, what is the biggest difference between your parents?
Does it mean personality-wise or just anything?
I think whatever you interpret it to be.
Yeah.
I think biggest difference between my parents is my dad, I don't know if they both work hard. I think my dad likes to go out and connect with people. My mom is more a homebody, and so maybe that's the thing. But I feel like they can maneuver or be flexible and all that. So
Personality-wise or emotion-wise, my dad can't handle his emotions as well as my mom. So my mom, she could take a lot more.
Yeah. My mom is the emotionally unstable person. I think she's the introvert.
Of the marriage,
I always thought it was my dad, but then when I see my dad out and about with like people, it's like, where is this man from? Like, because he's talking to people as if like,
what you do to my dad?
yeah, you
Who
know,
are
right?
you?
Like,
Yeah.
where happened to my dad?
Right.
And like, so I'm more extroverted too, and I'm like, oh, I see that.
You
Like,
got that from your dad.
Yeah, I got that from my dad. But my mom is emotionally unstable sometimes. I think I get a part of that from my mom too. So, and she talks a lot of crap too.
Okay.
So, but anyways.
well, it's good to know. What do you think old people regret the most when they look back on their life?
I think I think they regret working too hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you work too hard and you don't really get to live life. Because, like, I feel like my parents, at least, they work so hard to build something and to build a life for us and to have money and all that, but they never got to really live life. And I kind of see that in them right now. Like,
I think for me, a lot of adults don't open up about this, and some won't admit to it. But like, I think depending on whether you successfully raise your kids or not, I think regretting how you went about raising your kids. Some of them do regret it, but they just won't say it.
I feel like that's like, there's not a perfect parent.
Yeah.
And so there's always doubt of, did I do my best?
Because hindsight's always 20/20, you know,
Right.
and you look back and you're like, I could have done this different.
Right. I think one thing, just looking at my life as I'm growing older is, and I'm like, I feel like maybe I could see this and maybe I can't, but not taking enough risk, and actually living. And I feel like people live when they're outside of their comfort zone and not taking enough risk. And I look back and I was like, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have jumped into that. Dang, like, and so I feel like that's always, looking back hindsight, I'm always like, there's part of me that has a little regret of not jumping in what's uncomfortable.
What's that cliche saying? The shots you don't make are the ones you don't take, right? Something
You
to that
miss all
extent.
the shots
that you don't take. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Ooh, it's on you, Apple.
all right, next one. When was the last time you felt really proud of someone in your family?
I'll go. I feel like this is more egotistic for me, but I think I've never been proud of myself. And I think I'm on a journey to be proud of myself. And this is actually, we went to a event last year with Nang Now. And he was like, hey, like, just being on a journey of being proud of yourself. And I've been on that journey because I think for me, I never felt like I had never felt like anybody was proud of me or been affirmed. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna start that journey, take that responsibility, be proud of me. And I'm learning to be proud of me, that I can be proud of my parents, and that they can be, that they can be proud that they raised somebody, and that. So it's kind of reversing the roles.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that. So I'm not there, but I'm learning that. So.
So, since my wife doesn't think that I'm proud of her, I'm gonna say this on camera, right? So it'll be my wife.
Yeah.
So she went through school, did her undergrad, got her teaching degree, and then also went and got her master's. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's on. It's on.
She brings in the money.
Yeah, she does.
She's a breadwinner.
Yeah, so yeah, she says that I don't compliment her enough. So I'll go ahead and say it on our channel.
so-
Yeah,
It's
Some
on,
vulnerability and
Yeah.
humility
Yeah.
you
there.
know,
it's on the internet.
it's on the
forever.
internet forever now.
I
Yep.
don't see that much.
Yeah.
from you.
I guess I would say my sisters, right?
Cool.
They're all educated. They're like nurses and HR professionals.
Damn.
And they're all educated. Growing up, I was the oldest, so my parents loved me more. They thought my parents
Yeah.
loved me more, right? And so, I feel like they might think it's hard for me to admit that I'm proud of them, but I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
And so they all did good. They have like beautiful kids, right? All the nieces and nephews that are in my life, because I don't have kids.
Yeah.
And so, I'm proud of my sisters.
Cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Is it
My turn?
on?
Or-
I think it's on
No,
you,
it's
Dad.
It's on me, right?
Yep.
Do you think you would have been a very different person if you had different parents?
Growing up, I thought if I had different parents, I'd be a CEO already. But that's not to throw my parents under the bus. I think looking at it, I don't think I would have my hard work ethic if I didn't have my parents now. I think I would have been in a place, going back to the last question, being proud of myself, right? Of not being affirmed enough or not being affirmed at all. And so I think I would be in a place where, you would level up and compete with the best CEOs in the world. But I also realized that because of this hard work ethic from my parents, I have this underdog mentality of like, nobody's gonna beat me and I'm gonna be resilient. And so then again, it's kind of like, no, I wouldn't have this hard work ethic. So
Yeah.
I think I would be a different person. Because I'm a firm believer in like nature versus nurture. So I mean, obviously, different parents, you're gonna be brought up differently, different environment. Yeah, I would be a different person, but in terms of like being successful, I think I can't really blame that on anyone else but myself. You gotta hold yourself accountable. I won't
take
say that.
responsibility.
Yeah, I won't say that. Oh, if it was my parents or somebody else, I'd be here or there. It goes back to that freaking Rocky 5 scene when he was talking to his son. He was like, don't point the finger and blame people that why you're here and not there. It falls back on you.
yeah.
Yeah, I tend to kind of think the same way. I think I would have been a different person, but growing up, I never really thought that way. Like I never really thought, hey, if I had different parents, I would grow up to be more successful. But I always I always defended my parents because I would look at other people's parents and I'd be like, all right, at least my parents aren't like their parents.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like how
It's a
my
good way to
mentality of
it's a
growing
good way to
up.
look at it. Yeah.
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 So you're more like seeing it from like more of an optimistic point
Yeah.
of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's kind of how.
Were you compared to other people's kids?
Of course, I was. Yeah.
So it's good that you were optimistic
Yeah,
about
right.
it. No, that's good.
Yeah. Of course, I was.
It's on you, good.
Okay, let's go. Where were you when you first heard about 9/11?
Freshman in high school.
Oh yeah.
Yep. We walked into school because this happened fairly early in the morning, and the bell just rung, and we went into English class. I remember it was Mr. Jones, and all of a sudden he pulled up the TV and we just spent the whole day just watching it. So I was at school. Everybody was actually scared. I was actually scared too. They wouldn't let us go home, and the whole school was on lockdown. They weren't sure if it was just like one event or if the nation was being attacked like as a whole. So it was actually a pretty terrifying time.
Yeah, I was at school too. I think I was a sophomore, junior. I was in the library, and the library. It was funny because the librarian rolled out a tube TV on a cart.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's how we used to watch them.
And yeah, she would just put it in the library, and I was just reading magazines or whatnot in the library, and she would just put the TV there, and we're just watching like the planes crashing
right
into the building on real time, and so that was pretty crazy and felt surreal. Of like, this looked like a movie, and it didn't really feel like something real. So
Yeah, and this shows how much older I am than you guys. I was a sophomore in college, or either a freshman or a sophomore year in college. I was probably a freshman. But anyways, no, it had to have been sophomore year because I skipped class that day. So I skipped class that day. I was chilling in my room, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call from my friend Seaman. He's like, "We're being attacked."
Yeah.
I was like, you wake up to this text, "We're being attacked," right? And then as soon as I saw the text, he called, right? He's like, "Apple, turn on your TV." And I was like, what the heck?
did you have those Nokia phones?
Yeah, the big fat Nokia
Yes.
phone.
Snake games.
Yep, the
Yeah.
snake game, exactly. And so I turn on the TV, and sure enough, I see the second building hitting, right? It's so weird. Right when I turned on the TV, the second plane hit the building.
Yep.
And then I was like, holy crap, we are being attacked. Like, that was my thought, and then of course I spent the whole day just watching the events. It was surreal.
Yeah,
It's
I think everyone
crazy.
did. Everyone was just basically shocked,
Yeah, like I just remember it affected me a lot. Like, we're Asian and we're Americans, right? But like I didn't really have like that. I'm proud to be an American,
Until that moment.
Yeah, and that day I'm like, dang, that hurt a little bit, So I kind of had that realization,
Yeah.
Is that on me now, or you?
Think
I
about
think it's me.
it.
All right. Why do you think so many marriages end in divorce?
Bad timing.
What do you mean bad timing?
Well, like a lot of people get married based off emotions, So like and your emotions change too with age and time, and I mean bad timing in the sense of I'll speak for Hmong people in general, right? Like people, in the 90s. I'm part of that telling group of people that got married super early, and you ask a lot of these couples, and we dated for a month, we dated for a year, we dated for so timing in a sense of not having spent enough time together to truly know who the other person is, and so they get married, and eventually they find out, hey, we don't mesh, and so we gotta go our own ways. That's one of the reasons.
I think people don't want to work on themselves, and they don't want to work with each other. Just relationship, it takes work. You bring two different people together, regardless of how they feel or how different their backgrounds are, and they may not be compatible in the beginning, but that's irrelevant to, am I willing to work on myself as I committed in this relationship? And am I willing to make the effort to work together with somebody that is super different from me? And, just character. If you don't have the character for the long haul, for anything, it shows in relationships. If not willing to work on yourself first and foremost, it shows in everything else. And so that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it too, because how it's just effort. It really is. I feel like, how people always say, you got to bring your 50 and they got to bring their 50. Well, no, like you got to bring
be
your
whole.
100. You
Both
got to
you
bring
guys gotta,
everything. And they got to bring 100 too. And I think sometimes it's, and not saying that there aren't like super tough situations, right? But like, it's because you gave up, right?
Yeah.
It's effort. Like even like in cheating, right?
Yeah.
It's because you gave up, dude.
Right.
Like you gave up. You wanted it.
You sold out?
Yeah, you sold out. So yeah.
I think it also sets. I think the I don't know if myth is the correct word, but this sets them up for failure of the Cinderella story. You know, that like everybody's gonna live happily ever after. You know, I think that kind of just, you know, kind of Disney fairy tale sets people up for failure, because real life isn't like that. It's hard work.
Dude.
And everything you do
I know.
after the feelings are gone, after the puppy love.
Yep.
And I think that kind of fantasy just really like sets people up for failure.
I blame Disney. I blame Korean drama. Cancel culture right now.
But people
Yeah.
got to take responsibility in that.
No,
you know
no,
what I mean?
it's cool.
And understanding like, dude, you
Yeah.
can't, like, this is not fan. Even though that fantasy
Yeah.
is for a moment,
Right.
that's not the rest of your
Yeah,
life.
they
And-
wherever you go, right? They call that the honeymoon phase. Like whether it be a job, whether it be a career, or anywhere, or a group of friends, right? There's always that honeymoon phase until they get to know you, and then that's when the real struggle becomes, comes into play. So yeah, you gotta. Everybody thinks it's gonna be like you said. It's gonna be a happy ending. Everybody lives happily ever after, and sadly, it's not true.
Yeah, like I tell my niece, romantic or romance is not like when the dude comes to your piano recital and gives you a rose. It's this dude that goes to work and works his butt off to keep a roof over your head and loves your kids, and like that's
you sound like
romantic.
my dad now. I put a roof over your head.
But also, it doesn't have to be dramatic like Korean drama,
Yeah.
which everybody like wants the drama.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, if you are a person willing to like, not saying that there won't be intense, conversations or, arguments or whatnot, but it doesn't have to be dramatic all
Right.
the time. If you're
Yeah.
willing to work on yourself and be like, hey, I'm working on this, doesn't mean that we won't have, tough times, but it doesn't have to be dramatic where I just want to kill myself or kill, or just do the extreme,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
be super depressed too.
Yeah.
So,
Just
I
reading
think
the
it's
question
this
again.
one.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at it again. Yeah. All right, cool. Appearance aside, what is the biggest difference between men and women? Dang. Who wants to start this one
I'll
off?
start. I think the difference between men and women, in my opinion, is ladies are jealous easily of each other. Guys, we tend not to. I think we can envy, like a guy that is physically fit or has something going or a good career or can provide. I think ladies, but we don't get jealous easily with guy who owns stuff. Ladies, on the other hand, I feel like they just, man, they're too much or not enough comparing to the other girl right beside them. And that's just a mindset that guys don't have. Guys, on the other hand, we have a pride thing where ladies tend not to have. And so guys, we tend to have a little bit more pride and being able to, hey, I can do this or whatnot. So
I tend to agree with that. I always use this example. I don't even know where I got it from. I heard it from someone, but I kept on using it. It's when one of my friends walks in with a girl, right? With a new girl, she's super cool, right? And so my first thought is, damn, I want to get a girl like her, right? But for girls, once a dude walks up I want
that man,
that guy, right?
It's a comedians. I heard it before.
And I tend to like kind of believe that. Yeah.
we'll go to the next
Yeah,
question.
next question.
Let's do the next question. When was the last time you felt like giving up on something? Man,
Dang.
I feel like giving up every day. Not on me. I think I've been learning this options trading, and every day like I've been like beaten down and losing money, but I tell myself, hey, like I can bounce back, and so I feel like I want to give up, on this thing because it's a huge learning curve, as we are quarantined and people is playing with the stock market and not losing money is not fun daily, but I've learned a lot in it, and I think I'm like, as long as I'm losing money and I'm learning, that's all that matters right now, which is not a thing anybody should do. You should play with paper trading and whatnot. But I feel like giving up. But that's just me on a mission. So.
What were you, Doug?
I can't believe I'm gonna say this. So even my marriage, right? There's been times. Let me read that question again. When was the last time? Well, you see, it wasn't recent, but I'm saying, there's been times that I have thought about it, but obviously it was just a thought. I'm still obviously married, so we have, oh, this one's pretty tough. Yeah, but there are going to be moments that there were moments in my marriage when I felt like giving up and quitting and just packing up and leave. But I've learned to understand that those are just emotions at the time and not really what I wanted. Yeah. So if my wife is listening to this, it's not that serious. It's not that serious.
I just complimented you.
Yeah. I got to balance it out. Life is all about balance. Yeah. But that's one thing. And I just want to be honest. And, because I'm not going to go out and say, oh, I thought I was going to give up on my dog. I mean, that's one thing that hopefully.
So just to make it clear, you're not giving up.
I'm not giving up, but it's more for the audience's sake, that like, hey, if you are thinking about giving up on your marriage, I think everyone
call Doug.
Call me for a low price of $99.99. I'll give you help. No, that everyone else goes through it too. It's not just you.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give the audience, like, I guess something that they can work with, or hope, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, like, so in the past, I've dealt with some depression, right? And for a long time, I thought depression was just people looking for attention, right? Mm-hmm. And until you fall into depression, right? And it just becomes like this black hole, and then you don't know how to get out of it. Yeah. And I think there has been times then that I can remember where I was just like, I just want to give it all up, like just end it all. Mm-hmm. And those were some dark days, thank God we're educated and we have people around us that
loves you,
love us and will pull us out. Yeah. But I think that's probably like the last time that I really thought about giving up on anything. Mm-hmm. It was like myself and giving it all up, right?
I think because the stuff that giving up is, depending on how you see it, giving up is literally saying that it's over with, like done. So I think the stuff that we tend to, it's the heavier stuff that you think about or that you remember. Yeah. About giving up on things.
I also think maybe this is just me from my bias of our culture. There's such a resilience that giving up, even though we feel like it's like, it's hard to, actually cross that line, where we actually will give up. Not saying that people don't give up, in our culture. I just feel like there's just a resilience, because for me, it's like, well, how can life get any worse than this? So I'm just going to keep bouncing back and pull through this, and I'm just going to keep trying to wait till I see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I will eventually see it because of the resilience. Because to your point, there are times where you're just like, dude, I'm in this dark place and I'm trying all that I can to pull myself out, but there's nothing literally helping, right? Yeah. And not a lot of people talk about that. And I'm not saying everybody goes through that, but I've definitely felt that, where you're like, you're doing everything you can, but there's not I think there's thoughts of, hey, I do want to give up, but there's a resilience that won't let you let go too.
That explains why it's so hard for me to quit smoking, dude. That resiliency, every time I want to quit smoking, I got to push forward. I got to keep smoking. I can't give up, What is it? What what's that saying? I'm not a loser. I haven't even lost my virginity yet. It's a meme about Asian people. We're just so like,
nice.
I don't know. But hey, if anybody's listening to this podcast, right, and you've made it this far, and you are at a point in your life that you want to give up on anything, just know that we're here to support you too. You guys can reach out to us, and we definitely know how it feels to want to give up on something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
If you guys even make it this far. I hope you guys do.
Yeah. You have a few more questions?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
one
on
more.
you, Duck, right?
Yeah, that got kind of dark there for
Yeah,
a minute.
That's
right.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
What is the best motivator? Fear, money, or love?
I say fear.
Fear.
The government controls. Just the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine, just think back in March this year. Everybody went crazy getting toilet paper.
Right.
People thought toilet paper was a symbol or resemblance of safety, right? And when people ran in the stores to go grab toilet paper,
Yeah.
they were motivated by fear, right? And that was from the media, the news, the government, and everything in between. And it's like, I've never seen so many people move so fast, go after toilet paper, you know? And they're not even thinking about it. People that are chasing other people not knowing where they're going, like I was saying, like I just went there because I saw people going after it and I had to grab some, but everybody was just motivated by fear.
It's the whole jumping off the cliff, right? Your parents used to always
Following the
ask you. Yeah, you know, you follow the sheep. Those. Anyways, yeah, no, for me, I'd say fear too, because like I go to work every day due to the fear of losing my mortgage. You know, the fear of not being able to provide. Cause I mean, dude, I could be a hobo. I could just be a homeless dude, which is fine. But the fear of not being able to provide for my family—that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
You know, I could care less. I could live off noodles and water. So to me, for me specifically, it would be fear.
I guess my first thought is love.
Mm-hmm.
Call me an optimist, but
Yeah.
like just
Hopeless
because
romantic.
I think about my life, right? Yeah, I have the same fears, right? But it's because I don't want to lose the roof over my head because I love my wife, right?
Right.
And I need the toilet paper because I scared for my wife and my family, right?
So
Like-
she doesn't have to use the water.
and like
I love you so much.
Yeah.
You don't have to touch poop, okay?
Yeah, but you know, I think it's out of love. You know, I think people do a lot of things out of love. But maybe I'm just an optimist.
We're here in this country out of love. You know, the churches that sponsor a lot of Hmong people to come here.
Yeah.
You know, that was out of love. We're here because
Yeah.
of love. Somebody loved us enough.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Got to give credit to the Lutherans.
Yeah, I know it was the Lutherans. 'Cause dude, funny thing. Speaking of the Lutherans, how much time we got? We still good?
We're good.
Yeah. Speaking of the Lutherans, right? My parents used to always make me write out checks to pay our airfare. So we were paying our. It wasn't for free. We were still paying. The
So you
fees.
paid after?
Yeah, after we got here.
Oh, really? I
Yep.
never knew that.
Yep, we paid after we got here. So for a good 10 years, I think
Yeah.
they were still making payments to the Lutheran something. Because I remember seeing Lutheran something, church or something. Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, asking them what that was for, and they're like, yeah, the like airfare for.
But were they like, were your parents like happy to do that, or like was it like someone forced them to do it, or like how?
No,
what do
I
you
think that was they were just happy to do it. It was just like,
Oh.
dude, come on, man, I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade anything.
So it's more
But-
donation than like an obligation.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no, it was an obligation.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Oh,
I think so. I would have, I'm gonna have to ask my mom again, but
Yeah.
it was a thick. Back in the day, your mortgage used to come in a thick.
it's a book.
It's a book,
like
yeah,
like
yeah.
checks.
Yeah,
almost,
and you'd
yeah.
have to write monthly, and it was that was how it was.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
interesting, right? Yeah. So we didn't come here for free, in case people are wondering.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you trade it though?
Heck no.
I'm just
Heck
saying.
no. I'd do it all over again.
Just like, you trade those checks for, your freedom from.
We good.
Uh,
I'd rather, thank
Vietnam.
God I'm here and not overseas,
Nice.
not in a third world country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
Is it me
I think
next?
it's Owl.
Okay. All right. What is the best trait you inherited from your mom, and what's the best trait you inherited from your father?
Traits as in body parts or
You can
So-
interpret that.
From my mom, cleanliness. She's super responsible. So we've always been super responsible as kids and siblings. the place is always clean. Our house is always clean. Dishes are always, washed. And I find myself catching on to like, hey, like I didn't realize that until like later in life. And I'm like, why do I do this while other folks don't do this, in that way? But it was just my mom. She always made sure the house was tidy, cleaned up, dishes were always washed. But she was just kind of very, I wouldn't say OCD, but she was very like just all about cleanliness. From my dad, it's just the hard work, the grind, where it's like, when you see people grind all the time and it's like, slow down, it's like, and you catch yourself, you're just like, why am I grinding when I should just relax and enjoy the weekend, or, and so it's like my mind is constantly working on the next thing and doing something. So
traits for me, I think my dad's work ethics. He's a grinder too. I think a lot of Hmong dads are grinders. And if there is one thing I can't knock Hmong dads for, is their hustle and their grind.
Yeah.
They
you work hard for their family.
Yeah, you can badmouth them, you say whatever, but these dudes hustle. Like for guys that don't speak the language too well, aren't educated, and they can hold a job on the same level as an American dude. It's either they overachieved or that white dude underachieved. All right, so you can determine what you want. But the grind. And then my mom has I think her thoughts. I think a lot of my siblings, we got our thoughts from my mom. I mean, we all thought like my dad, we'd be screwed. We'd probably be hating each other. But my mom, she's the only living survivor from her family. So she thinks differently. She's on a different wavelength, so.
What does she think like?
She's for sure not a hater. She's like not your typical Hmong mom. Like when my wife and I were gonna get married, a lot of OGs were like, oh, your son, talking shit, and then and I was afraid that my mom was gonna talk shit too and not back me up. But then I still remember the moment when my mom came in the room and said, hey, are you guys gonna get married? Because we, you were the one. Remember the time we picked Marcy up from the airport, and I came home and I was super scared because I didn't tell my parents that I was gonna get married.
Yeah.
And so then I was afraid. I was young, and then my mom was like, "Dude, you're young, and this and that." But then she had the mindfulness to go, "Okay, if you guys, I'm gonna respect your decision, but if you remember my words, right? You decide to get married today, it's for life. It's not for fun." And the way she thinks, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same thing with my dad. With you guys, right? Work ethic. He worked his butt off. Mom, I think loyalty from my mom, right? Like my mom backed me up no matter what.
Dang, spoiled.
I know. I remember we got caught ditching once, and I just got my license. But I told her to. I'm like, Mom, we're gonna go to the mall today, right? So I told her, and so I was like, we're gonna skip school and go to the mall today.
Wow, he told your parents.
Yeah, I told her, and then she was like, okay, whatever, So we went, but then we along the way we picked up some people that we didn't expect to go with us, and then we went, and sure enough, truancy cop caught us, right? And so called our parents and stuff, and I got in a little trouble, but. The one parent called up my mom because I was the driver, right?
And she was like, kiss me out.
She was like, "What? Your kid is making my kid do this, blah blah blah."
Your mama backed
you up.
Huh?
Hella backed me up. Like I was sitting there, until I'm like, "Oh shoot, now I'm dead," right? Because some OGs are coming at my mom. Of course, she's gonna be like, Yama, Yama, and then she like. The hell you talking about my kid? Like your kid was there. I was like, whoa, she backed me up. But yeah.
Was that a one-time thing or?
No, in life she's always backed me up. Even when like I failed her, she still backs me up.
Mother, I failed you, right? You got down on your knees, dude. Speaking of moms backing us up, like it's funny. I have a story like that too, right? So like there was this Hmong chick. You remember? I won't say their names. And her dad was really strict, or her parents were really strict, and that chick like somehow found a way to come to our town, and her parents thought that I went to pick her up and this and that, and then they like they came over and they called my mom, and then they were like, yeah, you're gonna have to do this and that, he's picking up my daughter and this and that. And then my mom's like straight up told him like, if your daughter was really good too, she wouldn't be coming over here, and like following my son.
Hey,
wow.
Yeah, and I was like,
women.
yeah, I know. I was like, woo. You know, it felt great. You know, because
Yeah. There needs to be responsibility on both sides.
Quit just because he's
You know?
he's a boy, he doesn't determine whether your daughter goes anywhere. You know, I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
and it
cool.
was consensual. You
Right.
asked.
Right. Well, until Me Too later.
I'm just
Yeah, but it's cool. Yeah. No, I didn't even ask. She didn't
okay.
even. Dude, I didn't even know she came, but I just hung out with her. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Next question before we're.
Gotta take
Last one.
responsibility.
Let's go. 3 minutes. Okay. Which emotion is stronger, love or hate? Love or hate?
Love. I think love conquers all. That's just me biblically believing in the Bible, and because I feel like I think as much hate as there is, when you do an act of kindness, it kind of just turns people around, and they're like, "What the heck what just happened?" And I've seen a lot of that happen in my life. A lot of good people do that, and been around me and has turned me around. And so for me, the evidence of my life, I always felt like, man, the people that loved me that shouldn't have really changed me. And so
What do you think, Doug?
I'd say love too, but then you don't see it enough. But it's so strong, right? So it's the whole quality over quantity. You see a lot of hate, and you barely see any love. But when you do see love, it trumps everything. Like the whole pay it forward thing, right? You know, it's funny how if one person starts paying it forward, and then they get a chain of cars just paying it forward, and then eventually you get me, and I'm the guy that's like, oh shoot, I'm gonna order a lot. Then somebody's gonna pay for this, right? And screw it all up. Yeah. But yeah, I like you're right, man. Like you see one act of kindness and it changes everything. You know.
I think love is what creates hate. You know, like I always tell my wife, like when she asks me about when someone did something wrong to me, I'm like, well, I would have to care to hate them, you know.
Yeah. All true.
And so like it's either like hate comes from like either love of self too much or love of something else, and they take that away, right?
Cool.
And so I feel like it stems from love, right? And so yeah, I would say love for sure.
All right. Well, I think we can all agree that is love, right? So I think that sums it up for this episode. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is definitely something different for us. You know, everyone having to open up a little bit, getting uncomfortable. And I hope you guys can learn something or take something out of this episode and improve your life too. You know, that's kind of what we're here for, to better everyone, give everybody a voice, and yeah.
Hey, if you enjoyed this episode of The Bamboo Ceiling, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at #TheBambooCeiling. Until next time, use your voice.